If right now you are making at least $18,000 in annual income, as I was making 30 years ago, this conversation is for you because I want to explain to you how to get a high limit credit card without fail. If you are making at least $18,000 in annual income, don't you go anywhere. You're going to love today's conversation. I love the Awesome Sweaty Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous if you already asked me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to talk to you if you are making at least $18,000 in gross annual income and you are trying to get a high limit personal credit card without fail. So here are the steps you need to follow to make sure that you get a high limit credit card. First, let's talk about the credit card. You need to identify the credit card you need because I'm talking to you here, okay? Very important that you focus. You want to focus on the kind of credit cards you need. What kind of cards are you looking for? Because you have, do you want a card for rewards? You want a cashback card? What do you need? You have to be clear about the kind of credit cards you're looking for. And some credit card issuers give you some perks, what we call quote unquote perks. You have things like your free access to your credit scores. Okay, they give you free financial education, all this kind of stuff. So you really have to zero in on the kind of credit cards you're looking for. Otherwise, you'll be wasting a lot of time. Okay, so for instance, if you want to build or rebuild credit, you can consider a student or secure credit card. If you want to save on interest, you can consider a low interest 0% APR or balance transfer card. If you want to earn rewards, you might want to consider a rewards, travel, or cashback credit card. So it's really important to zero in on the kind of credit card that you need. Okay, so and this will come from your needs. You need to know your needs. What do you need? And you want to narrow down your choices by asking the right questions. So if you're looking for a student or secure credit cards, will this card help you build credit? How much does it cost to open an account? Can you graduate to a better card later on? So those are questions you want to ask right off the bat. Okay, if you're looking for a low interest 0% APR or balance transfer card, how long is the 0% APR period? And what is the ongoing interest APR? What is the card's balance transfer policy? Okay, does the card offer rewards? Those are questions you want to ask. And for rewards, travel, or cashback card, how do you spend your money? You know, how complicated is this credit card? How quickly will you earn rewards and how much are they worth? Those are questions I want you to really zero in on, okay? And you want to apply for the card that offers you the highest overall value. Okay, it's all about, and the highest overall value will depend on your financial situation, on your personal situation, on your professional situation, and also most importantly, the kind of spending patterns that you have. Do you do a lot of grocery shoppings, or are you much into traveling? Are you much into sports? Whatever it is, your spending patterns will determine what card offers you the highest overall value. The second thing is requirements. Cuz, niece, dad, mom, I'm talking to you. I ain't talking to anybody else. I'm talking to you. Okay, I want you to study the requirements for the card application approval. See, everybody wants to have a card, but you gotta be very specific. So once you identify the card that you need, I want you to sit down and study the requirements of the card. What is the card asking for in terms of age? Does the card want you to be 18 or older or 21 or older? It really matters, because if you're 18 or 19, you really want to have that information. Remember, you got to have a verifiable income source. We're talking about at least $18,000, right? But you got to be able to prove that the income. Okay, because I'm talking to you, so this is important. Niece, grandma, grandpa, I'm talking to you. I want the whole family to be here because this is important. We got to get that straight, okay? You must have a verifiable income source, and make sure that you have a physical address. Physical address. If you're living with your parents, that's fine, but make sure they have a physical address too. I don't want your ass to jump from cash to cash to cash to cash, and you're never everywhere. No, you gotta be stable here, okay? And you also have to provide your social security number. Make sure that you are willing to provide that. So what I'm trying to say here is that the credit requirements will vary by issuer and card. But if you have a clear idea of the the requirements of the card, you can actually see whether you can qualify or not. Okay, and that's where you want to be in a position to do. Okay, and you also want to understand that you should not have too many recent new accounts. Very important. Recent inquiries are detrimental for your approval chances occur. So if you're looking for a personal credit card and you want to be approved with a high limit, make sure that you limit whatever recent cards, recent new accounts you open. And those accounts could be credit cards, could be loans, could be lines of credit, anything, any item on your, any entry onto your credit reports. It has to be positive. If it ain't positive, not good. And you also want to pay attention to what we call brand relationship. Yeah, you know, if you want to get a credit card, make sure that you have a good relationship with the bank that issues those credit cards. In other words, there's no sort of like a bad blood between y'all. You probably have something happened in the past, whatever. So if you had a problem with Chase, you don't want to go to Chase. You want to go with Wells Fargo or Bank of America. But yeah, you want to have a clean slate with the bank at which you want to apply. So continuing on the relationship, I want to really dig a little deeper here because I want you to listen. So, and by the way, Bob, this is for you, the banking side of things. Really important. If you want to get a personal credit card with at least $18,000 in gross income, I want you to have an existing relationship with the lender. So first thing first, you want to study the cards that are available on the market, right? You want to study the requirements of the card, of each card, and you want to pick the one that you qualify for, right? So once you pick the one that you qualify for, you need to start establishing a relationship, a rapport with that lender, well, with that credit card issuer. Very important, with that bank. What I'm trying to say here is you want to open a checking account and a savings account at a minimum. Okay, if you want to strengthen the relationship, you need to have at least a checking and a savings account. Very important. And don't let anybody dazzle you about this requirements. It's very important. Banks will never tell you this, but if you don't have a strong relationship with them, they're not going to give you a credit card, a high limit credit card. Okay, and they're not philanthropists. Okay, they're banks. They want to make money. So that's the minimum, checking and savings. Now, if you have more money to park in the bank, you can consider opening a CD, a certificate of deposit, an MMA, a money market account, an IRA, an individual retirement account, or a brokerage account, an investment account. What I want from you is activity, action, pam, boss. Do you hear that? No lethargy. I want your relationship with the bank to be active. No lethargy here, okay? And how do you choose the best bank for you? Well, it depends on what you're looking for. You have traditional banks, you have online banks, you have community banks, you have credit unions. What works for you? And that's what you have to choose, okay? And you got to look at their fees and interest rates, okay? Fees and interest rates are very important. So things like monthly maintenance fees, overdraft fees, stipend fees, stop payment fees, return check fees, wire transfer fees, cashier's check fees, certified check fees, out-of-network ATM fees, a lot of things you have to pay attention to. And what is the interest rate they're charging on your credit card? This is important also, okay? And do they have other features you want to pay attention to? For example, their mobile app, local branches and ATMs, security. So those are critical elements you want to pay attention to. If you are making at least $18,000 gross income every year and you want to get a personal credit card with a high limit, you want to check your FICO score. And I mean, really check your FICO score. You know, and there has to be a strategy on your end. See, I want you to be in the same mindset, of seriousness when you apply for the kind of mindset you have when you apply for a credit card. I want you to be the same mindset when you check your FICO score. What I'm trying to say, you want to check that really that metric seriously. You can go to annualcreditreport.com. You can go to your current credit card issuer. They actually have they give you access to your FICO scores or your Vantage score. Okay, You want to go to, you can go to Credit Karma, you can go to Wild Hub. There are a lot of players out there that offer this kind of service for free, of course, okay? And you can get it for free. Don't you pay for it for your credit score. No. Annualcreditreport.com, you can get it once a year, or when you have been denied. If you have been denied for a credit card or a loan, then you have free access to your credit score. So you have an idea of what kind of information that led to the denial in the first place. Okay, so as I said before, you can get your FICO scores for free through Discover, American Express, Citibank, Bank of America, through most credit unions, through Ally Bank. You have a lot of players out there. Capital One, they give you access to your credit score for free. Okay, now the thing is that once you have access to your FICO score, what do? That's the next thing. You want to dispute systematically and automatically whatever derogatory items you have, whatever detrimental, whatever adverse, whatever negative items you have, things like collections and charges, or maybe you've been a victim of identity theft. You never know. See, you got to have access. Information is power. Boss, I'm talking to you. Oh, well, yeah. You know, the funny thing is, it's funny. You might think you have an idea of your FICO score. You're thinking, hell, I think I'm in the 700 range. Nobody's in the 700 range. Either you have a definite number or you don't talk to me. Don't talk to me about range. I don't want to hear you. You know what? I'm just turning off my phone right now. I'm turning off my phone right now. You can't see it, but I'm turning off right now because I want you to give me a number. Okay? And you can only give me that number if you check your credit score. Let's talk about your income. The thing here is that if you're saying you're making at least $18,000 a year in gross income, and you want a high limit credit card, personal credit card for that matter, you want to be ready to verify your income. Oh yeah, Grandpa, you're listening to me. You are sitting there on the porch. You just in that rocking chair. I want you to listen to me because I have something for you. You're making money. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay. How do you verify your income? Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, a lot of credit card issuers, they have something called online verification tools. In other words, they ask you to, they will provide a secure link whereby you upload your information, your paychecks, your pay stubs and whatnot, your W-2s and 1099s. Okay, but a lot of banks still do things the traditional way. In other words, they will ask you to show them your paperwork. Either you bring it to the branch, or they will send you an email and you reply to that email. Okay, or they will ask you to log into your account and provide your information there. The bottom line is you have to be ready to substantiate your income. And in some cases, the bank or the credit card issuer for that matter, they might call your employer. Oh yeah. They will call your employer to make sure you are indeed working where you say you are working. Don't take it bad. Be smart, okay? Because they're giving you money in the first place. They're giving you their money, okay? So what are you giving in return? Hey, talk to me about that. Some people just get pissed because credit card issuers are calling their employer. This is nothing private here. Stop talking about privacy. My privacy is whatever. They don't believe me. Hey. You want a 10 grand credit limit? You better make sure you tell them you grant them access to calling you. You authorize them to calling your employer to verify what you're saying. Okay, so make sure that if you're self-employed applicants, there are ways you can verify income also. Okay, you can provide your 1099, you can provide your W-2 if you have one, but 1099 will be fine also. You can provide your tax returns, your tax returns or your tax transcripts. In other words, it is a document issued by the IRS that shows most line items from your tax return Form 1040. In other words, the lender has no time to go through your whole tax return. If they get a tax transcript, it's just a summarized version, so they have a clear idea of how much you're making. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We are still talking today about if you are making $18,000 in gross income annually, and you're trying to get a high limit credit card, how do you go about doing that? Well, one thing I want to say is that you can also try to become an authorized user. Now, become an authorized user if your income and or FICO score don't meet the issuer's criteria. What I'm trying to say here is that becoming an authorized user is not the end goal, right? You're just doing this in the meantime because you're trying to prop up your metrics. That's all it is. Okay, you do it for 6 months or 1 year. You kind of beef up your FICO score, and in the meantime, you probably get a better job. You probably had some side income that you are in a stronger position to apply on your own. Okay, because applying solo, if your metrics ain't that good, you might be rejected. Okay, so this is what it is. So what is an authorized user? It's very easy. In other words, as an authorized user, somebody else will add you to their credit card accounts. Okay, so that somebody else is the primary card holder, and that somebody else, it can be your parents, it can be your dad, mom, it could be your sister, it can be your brother, it can be your grandpa, your grandma. It doesn't really matter. You just have to have a relationship with that person, so that you have to be sure the person has a FICO score that is higher than yours, right? Because you don't want to collaborate with somebody who has a cheap ass credit score than yours, whose credit score is lower than yours. No. So right now, if you are 600, you're going to take someone who has a 500 FICO score. It doesn't make sense anyway. Okay, and if you are an authorized user, you can benefit from the positive. I would say the positive credit worthiness coming from the primary card holder. Okay, because the primary card holder is responsible ultimately for making payments on the card. But if they're doing a good job at that, your FICO score will go up too. So this is the whole process here. And if you want to add or become an authorized user, again, you have to find someone whose profile is kind of cool, and you have to have a discussion with a person, and you have to make sure the person understands all the implications that pertain to becoming or to being added as an authorized user. You know, the bottom line is, one thing we have been seeing in the last 30 years is that it becomes a trust relationship. You have to trust the person. You have to make sure the person giving you the info or the person receiving the info from you trust you. It's really important, okay? The last thing you want to do here, and if you really want to get a credit card, and I know we are going to get some flack for that because we're speaking here about credit card, but we're going to talk about banking. And this is important. And you know, if you want to get a high limit credit card with at least $18,000 in income, you want to maintain a positive check system record. Oh yeah. This might surprise you, but hey, listen, there's a strong correlation between your bank, and your check system record. What is your check system report? Well, it is something that shows how bad you have been or how good you have been, but in most cases, how bad you have been with banks. That's all it is. That's what it is. So you want to maintain a positive record here. So you want to get a copy of your check system report. Okay, you can order a copy of your check system report. You go to check system website and you click on request your reports, or you can call check systems at 1-800, take the number down, 1-800, okay, 428-9623. And you want to follow the automated prompts. Okay, you have to understand that a check system report is something consumers are entitled to for once every 12 months for free. This is important that many folks don't know about this. Once a year, you have a free access to your check system report. Okay, and check system retains reported information for up to 5 years. So if you pay off a negative balance with the bank, check system doesn't have to remove the report, but it must update it to show that you are paid up. This is important, okay? And it's important to understand that in some cases also, we have seen in our research that your check system report might contain information from Certegy, another consumer reporting agency that offers check authorization services to merchants. Okay, and so if you see any error on your report, please report. You want to dispute it. You can contact the check system directly. You can reach out to them by mail or by fax, or they have on their website, they have a place where you can dispute whatever issues you have. Okay, but maybe the most important thing is to settle your debts. Let's say you have a negative bank account balance, or you owe some fees. Pay off the debt. That's all it is. Why waste your energy trying to fight something that you know it's going to drag on the whole thing is, if you can afford to pay it off, pay it off. That's all it is. Okay. And if the amount is more than what you can pay off at once, try to negotiate a lower amount or a repayment plan and stick to your promise to repay. Okay. And you can request removal of negative information. So after you have, let's say, after you have repaid your bank or other creditors, ask them to update your check system report. So once your report is updated, you want to get a copy of the report and retain it for your record, or you can even use it for your credit card application. So with a clean record, you should be able to qualify to open a bank account, to have a credit card, or to have a personal loan. Okay. And there are other things you can do also. You can also file a complaint with your state attorney general and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which basically oversees credit reporting agencies. Okay. And you can also file a lawsuit under the FCRA against check system or the bank. But you don't want to go there because this is really not worth your time or money. Or you can consider a second chance checking account also. This is pretty good for you to kind of help you get the credit card that you need. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was talking to you about your personal credit card with at least $18,000 in annual income, how to get a high limit without fail. First, identify the card that you want. Number two, you want to study the requirements for card approval, for card application approval. Number three, have an existing relationship with the lender or the credit card issuer. Number four, you want to check your FICO score. Number five, you want to verify your income. Number six, you want to become an authorized user. Number seven, you want to maintain a positive check system record. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.